A year ago, India was not sure if there would be a potent, effective, and available vaccine against COVID-19. India's COVID-19 vaccine rocket was launched less than a year ago. But a great milestone for India when over 1 billion doses of the COVID-19 vaccine were administered to its population. India is a vast country, and through forests, deserts, mountains, India's healthcare workers took the vaccine to all its citizens. This episode is all about India's vaccine yarn. India achieved a very significant milestone in its COVID-19 vaccine program. Over 100 crore doses have been administered to Indians. At this same location, 1 year ago, everybody was doubtful whether India would have even a single vaccine. To explain how this vaccine highway was paved, I have with me Dr. Renu Swaroop. Namaskar, ma'am.
Namaskar, Pallav.
Dr. Renu Swaroop spearheaded India's vaccine development and the industrial effort. She is the Secretary of the Department of Biotechnology and also of the Department of Science and Technology. A geneticist by training, and there is a microorganism named after her. Dr. Swaroop, did you ever expect that in less than a year, India would be able to deliver 1 billion doses?
So let me say this, Pallav. It's a very proud moment for us today. We have a very robust vaccine development scientific ecosystem. But yes, if before COVID, if you would ask me this question, I would have said impossible. How can we get a vaccine in 1 year? But as the COVID journey has taken us, right in the beginning, I think we became confident of the fact that our scientists had the energy, the competence to be able to deliver. We had the expectations and we were confident that we would be able to meet the needs not only of India but the world. We are so very proud that we've delivered, and you heard the Honorable Prime Minister say that today it's a triumph of science, and I think truly it is a triumph of science.
How difficult was it for you at the Department of Biotechnology to spearhead such an effort?
So, the whole area of S&T response to COVID is complex. It was a challenging situation. We were faced with a pandemic which obviously was unexpected for all of us. It was bringing scientific expertise, scientific solutions to society in a given period of time. And if you speak about the vaccine story, it's all the more complex. Because you know and everyone knows that a vaccine journey is a complex journey. From initial discovery, through the developmental stage, completing all its clinical trials, human trials before it can be released. The complexities that we faced were not just in the journey, but it was fighting against time, bringing the teams together in a collaborative mode, and most importantly, even international collaborations were important. We had lockdowns, we had supply chain disruptions, we had air flights which were not there. I think the complexity with dealing with these challenges was there, but as I said, at the end, we've sort of made it, and I think that's where we feel so happy and so proud.
You've had a 3-decade-long career in biotechnology. Would you call this the most satisfying moment?
It is definitely a very, very satisfying moment. I mean, what could be more satisfying than this? That the S&T solutions that we developed have immediately been deployed to save the lives of humans, and as I said, not just within our country but the globe. Very satisfying experience, and also the learnings which have come with it, I think are so important to go beyond COVID.
And also for our viewers, you can see, even though India has administered over 1 billion doses, both Dr. Renu Swaroop and myself are still wearing masks, and even our entire team is masked. All of us are double vaccinated, but wearing mask is very essential till COVID-19 doesn't go away. Dr. Swaroop, Indian scientists and Indian industry, now both worked hand in hand. And let's look at first the development of one vaccine, which is the Indian-made vaccine Covaxin. Was that a very important step in reaching this 1 billion doses?
Absolutely, Pallav. I think what is important is, and you've rightly said it, the partnership between the industry and the academia, which is evident in Covaxin and all the others which are now coming out from our indigenous platforms, is testimony to the fact that if you come together, you can make it happen much faster. Because there are complementary strengths which each one of them has, and I think it's those complementary strengths that we need to take forward. And as I've said even earlier, it's the learning from this COVID which is going to go a long way, and we hope this trust that we have been able to build between the academia, between the industry and all stakeholders, the regulator, everyone together who's contributed to this journey is going to be important for us to go beyond COVID.
Now let's segregate each one of these. Let's first talk about Covaxin. How important was it? Because it is a totally made in India effort.
Absolutely important. So you see, right from isolating the strain which NIV did
National
very
Institute of
early,
Virology.
National Institute of Virology, Pune, which they did very early on, to Bharat Biotech, which is known as one of our very premier experienced vaccine manufacturer and R&D team, taking it on, completing the entire developmental phase so quickly, working very closely with all the animal challenge studies, the preclinical studies, to the clinical trials. That partnership, which did not just stop at taking a viral strain, but went right through into the analysis, I think that's really what has come. And even today if you look at it, their publications which come out, their analysis which they do, it's all a collaborative effort. And as I said, this has set the ground for many other collaborations to be further strengthened on this basis.
Now on Covaxin, lots of Indians have taken Covaxin. You took a Covaxin, I have taken a Covaxin. Why is there a delay in the emergency use authorization from the World Health Organization? Or is it in the pipeline and it's just a formality?
It is in the pipeline. We do keep hearing what comes from the WHO statements. For any regulatory process, Pallav, there is a process that needs to be followed. There are certain important steps, there are certain important procedures, and for the WHO, which looks at global emergency use, they have obviously candidates which come in from different countries. They are going as per their process. So it's on the pipeline, and we are hoping that with the robustness of the data which has been presented to them, this should probably happen very soon, and Ministry of Health is following it up with them to see that they get all the required data.
As a scientist, you are confident that the data is robust?
Absolutely. There was no way that our regulator would have given it clearance if there was no robust data. There was no way that we would have put it into our immunization program for our own country if we did not have robust data.
And you also took it.
approved, definitely. I mean, you see, we will only put it out into our immunization. It went through the NTAGI, it went through the scientific committee of NTAGI, which looked at the data, which looked at the complete robustness of the data before it was put out.
What about Covishield? Because that is also a vaccine which is made in India along with collaboration from outside. We couldn't have achieved 1 billion without Covishield.
So you have to understand that there's a difference in the platform. So obviously Covaxin is made on a different platform which has a limitation for scale up. Covishield is made on a platform which allows scale up, and Serum Institute again is one of our leading manufacturers, and they have put in all their effort to scale it up to the amount that's required. So the technology is, yes, it's the Oxford University technology which then got licensed by AstraZeneca, but it's all been manufactured within the country. So it's the strength and the expertise of the country here and the Serum Institute, their scientists, their engineers to be able to scale it up to these levels.
Sure, 100 crore doses and all made in India. That gives it a very different flavor and a very happy situation.
That gives us so much of confidence, and as I said, that makes it a moment of even much greater pride that we have been able to vaccinate our population with 100 crore doses, all made within the country. So it gives us that enhanced level of confidence that we can now be prepared for any such emergency or eventuality.
India is well known for its space program, and we have the Chandrayaan, the Mangalyaan, the Gaganyaan. Do you think now the moment has come for India to start having more faith in its biologics and vaccine efforts?
The COVID has shown it to all of us. I mean, we had the space mission, and there was a moment where the world saw it, the country saw it, the citizens saw it. It's exactly the same for the vaccines today, and this is our Vigyan, our vaccine Gyan moment, when you see the vaccine yarn moving not only within the country, 100 crore doses. I mean, look at the number. It's nothing less than any such mission that you have. And why do we call it a vaccine yarn? Because this is what is now going to propel into the future. This is what is going to give us the confidence for all other biologics, because it has displayed the robustness of our ecosystem.
You had something called COVID Suraksha. What was that?
Yes, so that was the main COVID mission, our indigenous vaccine development mission, Mission COVID Suraksha, which was announced on 9th November last year by the Honorable Finance Minister as a part of the Atmanirbhar 3 package. That was primarily to accelerate our indigenous vaccine development, and you've seen for yourself what it has done in a period of less than 12 months. We had supported about 15 candidates. We have delivered in this COVID Suraksha in terms of creating or supporting vaccines, creating an ecosystem for vaccine research, and augmenting the capacity of vaccine production.
While we celebrate this moment of triumph of 100 crore vaccine doses delivered, when can we expect a vaccine for children? Because right now it's only 18 plus.
No, so the DNA vaccine which has been approved by the regulator has already been approved for the children. Right now the data has been looked at to see, because we need to scale up the productions. It's a DNA vaccine, so it's got some complexity in its productions. And how do you prioritize the children population? Because even when we started our adult immunization, we did a prioritization. So that's going on. The Covaxin is likely to get its children approval very soon, because it's already got recommendations from the SEC, and the regulator
is expert committee.
The expert committee. So the regulator is now looking at the data. We hope it will happen soon. Other vaccines are already into trials. The Biological E has put out the Corbevax into trials. So a number of them into trials, and I hope we should be able to see it soon.
Now within this, while we see a number of 100 crores, still there is a large gap between the number of people who have had the first dose and the number of people who have had second dose. Is there a hesitancy, or why is there a gap?
So, Pallav, I think one thing is for sure that we have been able to, in a great extent, overcome the hesitancy. Because if you look at the first dose, which has gone in, it's a huge number, percentage of eligible population. But yes, the percentage of eligible population to get the second dose, there is a gap right now. There could be various factors, and many a times it's also because you have a 12 to 16 week gap. People sort of, although they keep getting messages, CoWIN app keeps reminding them, but sometimes people become a little casual. They feel एक dose हो गया, अब तो COVID ज़्यादा दिख नहीं रहा है, so I'm safe. What do I need? But I think that's not correct. You need both your doses. You need to build your full immunity. You cannot become casual about this. It's important for everyone to take their second dose to get full immunity.
The world, in many countries in the world, has started delivering a booster dose, which is a third dose. Do you think with Covaxin, Covishield and Sputnik, there would be a need, and should India go for boosters?
So, Pallav, we are always driven by the strength of our scientific data. Right now, our scientific groups are analyzing different aspects of the immunity levels, whether it's the cellular response, whether it is looking at what the T cell response is, or looking at what the antibody waning is. Till we do not have sufficient data on that, the ENTAGI scientific group will not be in a position to bring out any recommendation on that, and they are doing that. They are doing that well, and they are taking their time to study it based on the data which trials have started.
Dr. Renu, India not only has given 1 billion doses, but we have also saved citizens in over 100 countries through Vaccine Maitri. Was it the same vaccines, or what have we been giving to other countries?
Yeah, so the vaccines which have been manufactured and which were earlier given under the Vaccine Maitri are the same very vaccines, and we hope that as our vaccine immunization program moves forward, there will be, as announced by our Honorable Prime Minister and the Honorable Minister as well, we will once again get into this global vaccination program.
Among the big achievements was the making of the world's first DNA vaccine. Tell me in a little detail about what this is and why should we be very proud of it.
So we need to be very proud of this because, as you've rightly said, this is the first DNA vaccine for COVID, but also the first DNA vaccine for humans which has been brought out.
In the world?
In the world. And so far, wherever there have been DNA vaccine productions, they've been mainly for veterinary use and others. The DNA vaccine, of course, is like the mRNA vaccine. It's a nucleotide vaccine. It allows, once it is done, it can be scaled up very quickly in terms of, but you need to process it. This is ZyCoV-D, and this has been done by Zydus Cadila, a fully indigenous vaccine, an Indian proprietary supported by the Department of Biotechnology and BIRAC, right from the initial discovery phase through our consortium to COVID Suraksha for its clinical trials. And most importantly, they've partnered with our academic institutes to do all the assay studies, to do the immunoassay studies and many other studies. So it's a total academia industry collaboration with public-private partnership, and as I've said, this is the first in the world. And the uniqueness of this is that this is a vaccine which will be able to tweak itself for any variant that comes in. And we're all talking about a pan-corona vaccine. This is one of the good platforms to be able to take it forward.
We also have other platforms in the working. Tell me a little bit.
Yes. So, as I said, when we started early in March 2020, we supported a portfolio of vaccines. That was a high-risk investment that we made in many new platforms. One of them was the mRNA vaccine, and we were looking at global mRNAs, but our own indigenous mRNA. The uniqueness of that is that is at 2 to 8 degrees. All the other mRNA vaccines which are there now require a cold chain for its distribution. So, considering the Indian logistics
Who
that
did
we
that,
need, this has been done by Genova. We have Genova, which is in Pune. Again, totally indigenous, supported by DBT and BIRAC under the COVID Suraksha and earlier under the consortium, in close collaboration with our academic institutes, once again a public-private partnership.
How have they managed to bring the temperature at 228 compared to minus 70, minus 40?
So this is their proprietary information. I'm sure when they get it out with a patent, they will give you the complete information. But this is the what you call the USP of their technology. It's a lyophilized product, and it's a nanoparticle-based lyophilized delivery system. But it's a very unique technology, and we are confident that once again this will be the mRNA vaccine which the world would benefit from.
There is also the vaccine from Biologically.
So we have two other interesting candidates. We have the Biologically, which is an RBD platform, the binding domain platform, which is Corbevax, which is now in its late stages of phase the clinical trial 3, and they've already started the stockpiling under a manufacturing license. They've also now put in to start for the children, so they will also soon be starting a children trial. The other interesting vaccine which is there is our nasal vaccine, again being done by Bharat Biotech, and that is a very interesting platform because that would be a nasal vaccine. They're trying it, whether it will be as a single dose or a double dose, we are still waiting for results to come.
Let me add for the viewer, the other vaccines mostly come into effect in the lower part of the lung, whereas the nasal vaccine is an upper respiratory tract vaccine. So it will be able to denature the vaccine, the virus, SARS-CoV-2 virus, right in the nose
nasal
itself.
tract. In the nasal tract, and more importantly, the delivery. This is a liquid nasal vaccine which is just to be delivered as a nasal drop. So it makes delivery systems so much simpler, and we hope that they'll be able to do trials for children. This will be the best vaccine that we could think of giving to children.
Sure. And how soon can we expect that?
So they're all in their late phase 2, early phase 3 trials. You have seen the way phase 2, phase 3 trials have gone. We have our COVID Suraksha sites, which are now today 53 clinical trial sites, most of them being used by them. Yes, we have different innovative models of trials now because obviously we've got so much of immunization which has happened. We look at it happening sometime towards the end of this year. We should be having these portfolios of vaccines available.
Now, while we talk about 100 crore doses, I think we also need to remember the volunteers who participated in the clinical trials and the principal investigators who took these trials forward. As the Secretary of the Department of Biotechnology, what do you have to say to them?
First of all, we need to congratulate and compliment them. You need that sort of a ability to take a challenge, to come forward for clinical trials, to be a volunteer for such trials. The level of confidence that you impose on the developer to say, well, I volunteer myself to take this trial, because you have full confidence on the safety of the vaccine to come forward. And I think going forward, we need to take this again as a lesson to say, how do we, because anything that we bring out needs trials, whether it's a new drug, whether it's a new vaccine or any of them. So we need more of these volunteers who come forward. Our 53 clinical trial sites that we've set up are now in the process of recruiting volunteers, and believe me, it's today the task is much less in terms of our challenge than what we would have thought earlier.
Now, having done this, which is 1 billion doses for India and over 70 million doses for people across the world, does that make India a vaccine pharmacy hub?
So India was always, as you said, a pharmacy hub for the world. But I think what we've added to it is the strength of the biologics. And that strength is, yes, vaccines immediately, but we are sure there will be other biologics which would also come in. And vaccines, clearly, India was always known as the vaccine manufacturer. Today, we are seen as vaccine developers and manufacturers.
And will this propel India to be in a position where we can do more vaccine diplomacy, vaccine maitri, and also become we are already the largest supplier, becoming a very large supplier of vaccines to the world.
So it's not about just vaccine diplomacy or vaccine maitri, it's really fulfilling what we said, Atmanirbhar Bharat, India which is self-reliant for India and the world. And I think that is where you saw what we did for our various drugs, etc. during the COVID times. And I think that's really what has helped us to take it ahead.
No doubt, Dr. Renu, this is all about Atmanirbhar Bharat, a self-reliant India, and as the Prime Minister says, the creation of a new India. Thanks a lot for speaking to us, Dr. Renu. Always a delight speaking to you. And 3 decades of your service to the country, and what a lovely moment this has been. Keep the flag of Indian biotech flying high.
Thank you, Pallav. Thank you so much.
What a journey it has been in less than a year for India to deliver 100 crore vaccine doses to its population. The challenge now is for people to take the second dose, and also for Indians to realize that COVID appropriate behavior will have to continue till COVID-19 ends. Indian scientists and India's industry have contributed very beautifully in controlling the COVID-19 pandemic. But it's not over yet. India needs to do a lot more. And Indian scientists are ready to make India as free of COVID as possible. Keep watching India Science.